very much, everyone, for coming here today. This is the 35th leadership election rally we've done in the last month, because we're very determined to get a message out across the whole country to members of the Labour Party and to the wider public about the kind of equal and more just society that we want to create. And this rally here today, as John has explained, coming in the footsteps of history of those people who were massacred, those people that died in pit fires, in pit accidents, those people that died in dangerous conditions, those people that stood up to found the miners' union, those people that stood up for the right of working class people to come together in trade unions in order to defend their conditions and improve their conditions. That is the whole spirit of the Labour movement. This area of the Yorkshire coalfield, the place where so many people worked, the place where people suffered and sacrificed, was attacked by the Tory government in the 1980s, led by Margaret Thatcher. It wasn't a rational decision to close down the pits on economic grounds. It was a completely rational political decision by a Tory leader to try and destroy the voice of the mine workers, the voice of the trade unions, the political voice of the working class in Britain. That's why they provoked and wanted the miners' strike. That's why the issue goes on over mine workers' pension. The issue goes on over the theft of the pension scheme. Hold the banner up, please, my friend. Hold it up for everybody to see. About the need for justice for Aubrey. That's the very point I'm making. Justice for Aubrey. Can you in the big fella stadium hear me? Yeah. Wave if you can. Yeah. Thank you. My voice is still intact. I want to say we're here with the miners' campaigns, the pension campaign, the Aubrey Justice campaign, the WASPy campaign. We're here with the school cleaners. We've got the together. Thank you, Kinsey Women. Party as a movement, we should never be embarrassed for what we are, never be embarrassed for our past, never be apologetic for the fact that the trade unions are the centre and lifeblood of our party. Can't we not be proud of that link? Someone was talking earlier about the way this community has been treated since the end of the miners' strike. The levels of poverty that now exist in former pit villages all over England. The levels of poverty that exist in inner city Britain. The levels of poverty that exist that are completely and totally unnecessary. Poverty is bad, poverty is wrong, and poverty is a terrible waste. A child growing up not being fed properly, living in bad housing, getting ill, underachieving in school, is less likely to achieve great positions in the rest of their life. How many children do not become the doctor, the nurse, the engineer, the social worker, the care worker, the scientist, because they were not given those chances and opportunities as children? And as John explained, last year we lost a general election. We lost a general election, and I was, like everyone here, I'm sure, quite devastated by that, because I knew what was coming.
We deserve that election, Jeremy.
You're going slightly ahead of my thought process. We, at that election, had in the manifesto some good stuff. I don't deny that. But, and the but is simply this: the banking crisis of 2008-9 was not caused by the excessive wages paid to school cleaners in South Yorkshire. London or Birmingham or anywhere else. It was not caused by the level of public spending in Britain. It was caused by a deregulated banking system. It was caused by greedy bankers, and it was caused by the fact that the government of the day did not intervene when it should and could have done to control that system. As a result of that, when we paid that price, we know now what it is. So as a country who suffered the austerity that came from that, and our problem as a party was that in that election campaign we were still offering up cuts in public expenditure. We were, until last summer, abstaining on the welfare reform bill, which was taking £12 billion out of the pockets of the poorest in this country. And so, when we challenged for the leadership, John and I were in these discussions, as many others were, not very many others, a small number. A very small number. A small number of considerable people. Anyway, you want to any number, any consideration, no problem. John and I were discussing this, and we just said quite simply this: this is a watershed moment for our party and our movement. We have got to offer something different. And so, John had put my name forward, as did others, and we eventually swept onto the ballot paper with 2 minutes to spare. And we were elected to lead the party. And the first thing we did was to appoint John McDonnell as the Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer. John had done on the economy and alternatives to it, and he quite simply said this: austerity is a political choice, not an economic necessity. And so, see what's happened over 6 years of cuts in local government expenditure, of underfunding of the National Health Service, of cuts in disability benefits, of cuts in all other benefits, lower and lower wages, worse and worse working conditions, greater and greater poverty, and much greater inequality in our society. Those at the top up here have not lost out. Those at the top have tax havens to put their money into. Those at the top have done very nicely, thank you. Then you look at the other end, the number of people living in bad housing, the number of children not being fed properly, the number of families, parents, who view the idea of a school summer holiday as a point of fear, because there won't be the school lunches and there won't be the school breakfasts. How are they going to get through that 6-week holiday? That is modern Britain under the Tories with austerity. We have to, must and will offer something very different to everybody in this country. Let's go through it. Works for all. An economy that invests. £500 billion National Investment Bank that will build the infrastructure we need to bring about the economic generation, that will invest in those communities that have been left behind, that will not see public ownership of industries, not see public intervention as a dirty word, but something that is necessary to ensure we get not not just full employment, but good quality employment all over this country. Look at the other policy areas. We put out policy papers on a whole range of subjects. They are ideas, they are there, been commented on, and last time I looked yesterday, there were 12,000 replies that come in of people who wanted to make a comment about particular policy areas. I welcome that, I absolutely welcome that, because I want to see democracy prevail. That is, people, all of us, have ideas, feed them up, put those ideas there. Don't say that some expert somewhere will decide the policy and hand it down to you. It is about democracy in a Labour Party, in the trade union movement, and about a party that campaigns all the time in all communities all across the country. That is what makes us different and makes us strong. Let me just give you examples of this, the changes we have to bring about. In education, the Tory strategy is free schools, is academies, is the breakup of local education authorities, and now grammar schools and the 11+ examination. Quite simply, you have all known or experienced or seen children growing up together in primary school. They play together, they argue together, they develop together. You see the growing interaction. Their characters form. They blossom, they grow, and they do things together. And if they're in a school together, that's good for them and for their community. They understand each other. But if instead, at the age of 11, you introduce the 11+ exam, a class of 30 in a primary school, 10, maybe 12, maybe 13, maybe 14, maybe 11, will pass the 11+ and be told, you 11 children here, you're really special, and you're going to go to a grammar school over here. And you're going to have a different life over here. You're going to be special, you're going to be different, you're going to achieve a lot and do well in society. Then over here, the 16, the 17 who didn't pass it, you're going to go to a school, we probably won't call it a secondary modern school, we'll call it a modern secondary school, or something really clever like that. And you'll be differently educated and you will understand. Well, I find that an absolute anathema to everything I believe in. Our brilliant shadow education secretary will lead the fight against the other policy areas that we're dealing with. Health, for example. We made a big mistake as a Labour government, and that was the private finance initiative. Our hospitals dear and led to some, not all, of the problems. The internal market in the NHS has led to problems. The Health and Social Care Act has led to problems. The competition between companies trying to run bits and pieces of our NHS has led to problems. We need a properly funded NHS with NHS employees throughout it, not the atomisation. It's better for all of us that we get that. And I want to see an NHS which remains free at the point of use. It is a human right. I want to see an NHS that is properly funded. I also want to see an NHS that has real parity of esteem for those needing the mental health services and needing the support. People who've gone through a mental health crisis or may go through one ourselves. End the stigma, end the abuse, fund mental health services properly, and we as a society, just as we would reach out the hand of friendship to somebody that's broken their leg, do exactly the same when they're going through a bout of depression. good housing and somewhere decent to live. I decided to make all of my 6 questions to Theresa May this week about housing. Maybe I should have chosen some other subject. I don't think so. The reason I chose it was quite simply this: everybody needs somewhere to live. Secondly, there are too many people sleeping rough and homeless in our society. Not right, not necessary, has to be dealt with. There are too many people. And you know what? It costs us all a lot of money. Every year, we, the public, we, the taxpayers, pay £9.5 billion in housing benefit to private landlords. It doesn't help the tenant. Not one penny of it goes to the tenant. All of that goes straight from the public purse to the private landlord. If there were council tenants, it would be a lot less over the whole country. Given the choice of paying money as a subsidy to a competitive private rented market, or instead investing that money in bricks and mortar to build new council places, which then creates jobs, gives better quality housing for a lower rent, it doesn't seem to me that there's any choice there at all. To coin the phrase, it's a no-brainer. You must invest in good quality, lifetime tenancies of council housing. That has to be the priority. But I want to just say this about our party and our election. This is a time when we cannot go on as we have in this country or in anywhere else on the idea that neoliberal economics of the 1970s, where you create greater and greater inequality, you assume the rich are going to spend their money with some trickle-down effect, and we say to the next generation, sorry, we can't afford the health service, the schools, the pensions, or anything else that our generation had. You're going to have to fend for yourselves and buy it all on the private market. I'm sorry, I just don't accept that. I don't accept that our political will is so weak we can't instead say there has to be a redistribution of wealth. Bernie Sanders said this in the US. The US, for all its power and all its might and all its wealth, cannot afford the levels of inequality that exist within the USA. Neither can we here. It's an important time, and over a year we have recruited 300,000 new members to the Labour Party, the largest membership that I can ever recall. With that comes responsibilities and opportunities. To campaign in our communities, to stand up for communities together, to face down xenophobia, racism and hate crime, to bring communities together, achieve things together. They are stronger for it, we are all stronger for it. Our party is part of that. And so, after this leadership election is over, the campaigning doesn't stop, it redoubles. It redoubles on the issues of education, it redoubles on the issues of health. Fundamentally, it redoubles on the economy. John and his team will be travelling all over the country. We will be holding regional economic forums and events so that policy making on industrial development comes from people in areas saying what they want, what is possible, what is achievable, what skills are being underutilised, what new industries can be encouraged. All of those kind of things. It's all about developing things together. So come 2020, the manifesto won't be some surprise document that's pulled out of a hat like a rabbit in a pantomime. It will be, instead, this is what we've been saying, this is what we've been doing, this is what we've been campaigning on. And you know what? despite what all the media might say, I think there's a big public support for that style and that way of doing politics. Around the place. I don't think anyone should do abuse to anybody else, either personally, physically, or online. I think people should treat each other with respect, and politics should be done. It's not to get in the gutter if you do that, because once you do that, you've lost your audience, you've lost your hearing. So let's, as a party, be strong. As a party, be united. And I say to my colleagues who in Parliament who have been slightly fractious of late, come the 24th of September, the result of this leadership election will be known. Come the 24th of September, the party conference starts. Come the 24th of September is the opportunity to lay it out there of what we want to do economically. Lay it out there what we want to do in social justice in Britain. Lay it out there that we want to end discrimination against those with disabilities, the gender pay gap. Any kind of discrimination must be eliminated within our society. Lay it out there on all those things. Come together to do that. Come together and remember those that gave so much to found our unions and found our party, fight for our rights and fight for our justice. And in their memory, and in the next generation's interest, work together to defeat this Tory government, work together to create something decent and better in society, so that our children will be better off than we are, so that our world will not be a world where we go to war at the wishes of an American president. Our world will be one